Yes, people, how we doing?
Red pill pill. Here's some of my photos. Red pill Phil.
We're back with part two of this brilliant short film, One by One, featuring Rick Mail. We'll pick it up from where we left off. When you're on a journey, all of a sudden, a bereavement of somebody that you regarded as probably your best friend, your confidant, someone who initially got you going on your journey. So, other than that, guys, let's get straight back to it. Hope you're enjoying what you're seeing so far. One by One, part two.
She'd fucking hate this. This bullshit silence.
Yeah, she would.
Do you remember when we took her to the zoo? And she asked the keeper why he kept all the animals locked up.
When he told her, she simply said,
"How would you like to be locked up in a cage?"
Poor man didn't know what to do with himself.
Why did you call her Lily?
when you die, you get buried or cremated. One way or another, you end up back in the earth, back in the soil. And the soil grows plants. So one way or another, I like to think that we come back as a flower.
Why Lily? Why not some other flower?
Bunch of lilies was the first thing I saw when she was born. She looks like a lily. Looked like a lily.
I don't understand. How can you all be so calm and cool about this?
We've all been waiting for it to happen. Just didn't know how it was going to rear its ugly head.
What?
Do you really want to know? Do you want to be in a position now where the steak don't taste like steak anymore?
The New World Order.
Population reduction.
Is that what you and Lily were filming?
Yeah. We were filming in case anything happened to us.
Tell me.
There's no going back from this, dear. Everything will change for you once you know.
Tell me.
I believe we are enslaved in a society where we will not be free to think or feel or do anything other than consume. Slaves for work to buy things beyond our means, living in fear of terrorism. I believe this is to blindside us, trick us into a situation where they, the powers that be, will wipe us out. Kill most of us. Kill all of us here. They are going to reduce the population. That is what I believe.
It's sad to think that there may need to be a population limit on the Earth. Maybe there does. We can't keep on doing what we're doing.
A natural depopulation is what you'd like to think. Sadly, it feels the lifestyle that we've got, what we call society, the confrontations, because of the information, the way we all fight against each other, which results in deaths because of illnesses that are either mistreated or gained falsely through the lifestyle that we've got, which is then promoted because of the structure of the system in which we live in. We know we don't have to live like this. We don't have to have this confrontation against each other. We don't have to feel as if the world is against us. Unfortunately, because of the constant information that is thrown at us, we become products of that environment, you could say. And that product of that environment, so in a sense, that is part of the depopulation by allowing it. If anyone is at this point going, Phil, get your tin foil hat off that head. Human democide. Anyone look up the term human democide will understand that governments around the world allow the death and destruction of millions of people. Millions of people. That's not governance. That's not looking after populations. That's keeping populations in check.
There will be a global population reduction until there are only 500 million people there.
Georgia Guidestones. How many people have spoke about this over the years? How many? How many people have ended up dead because they've brought this information to the fore? How many people have lost their jobs, been politically ruined, smeared? How many people over decades? And it feels so real. At the time, tinfoil hat, conspiracy theories, what you talking about? What you talking about? So it's almost like you go, okay then. But then you're seeing world events that corroborate it time and time again. And that's where, even if no one's saying it, doesn't need to be said now, because you're seeing it everywhere.
Although I believe that this planet can support 2 billion humans perfectly comfortably.
How do you know that?
It's a question of space and the resources that space has, and using those resources to survive and not exploiting them.
And we've been taught with this commercialized, materialistic world, everything's packaged, everything has a box to it, cellophane to it, all these synthetic chemicals that have to be made in order to create certain packages for us. This is part of our downfall. A more simplistic lifestyle would probably suffice and help. But no, the promotion of all these things that we need through TV adverts has to generate then a certain element of infrastructure to provide it for you. So when you're looking at a piece of chicken that's wrapped in cellophane on a polystyrene tray in a supermarket, you got to think of how that's got to be there, and all the elements, the power plants and whatever else, other materials that has been used to make that happen. The consequences to the planet for making that happen, when in reality it's a piece of chicken, you know, didn't have all this industry in the early civilizations. Maybe the earth breathed a little bit better back then.
Almost 7 billion humans use too many resources. This leads to a very uncertain future for us all.
Right, climate change.
Climate change occurs naturally. That's why we have the Ice Age.
So now you're telling me that climate change is fake?
As you know it.
Why do you recycle? Why do you recycle?
I'm doing my bit.
So you're trying to save the planet?
Yeah.
How precious of you to think that you could save the planet. If she needed saving, especially from us, she'd just wipe us out. Hypothetically, if we want to conserve 80% of the planet's resources, then we should get rid of, or cull, that 20% of the population who are consuming them, yeah?
Hypothetically, I guess that would be a solution.
Yeah, the final solution.
We use so much of the planet's resources that there's just no balance. Soon we would have depleted the resources so much that life can't be sustained.
Unfortunately, this is where the Extinction Rebellions have got a point. It's the way that they went about that argument with the element of fear attached to it. If you scratch all that away, a simplistic lifestyle that lives in harmony with the earth will appeal to most people as an idea. It's getting to that idea and then realizing from that idea where we've actually got to now with the world that we live in.
And then everything would die.
How would they reduce the population? We're not stupid.
Hitler said, the bigger the lie, the more the people will believe it.
I think it would be done, hit the style. The armed forces are going to kill us. They'll follow orders, it's what they've been trained to do. They're being taught to be racists. The army are already killing people in other countries. People in power are using fear to fuel the racism. How long before they use this racism to make soldiers turn on their own? Innocent people. We're living in a police state.
So it had begun, controlling and monitoring the movement of individuals within the society, putting chips in passports, ID cards, CCTV.
They're using this orchestrated ruse to convince the public to accept Big Brother-type controls. And then they will intentionally reduce the mass of the world's population. Mass genocide on a scale never seen before.
Otherwise known as human democide.
There are a mass of ways they could introduce population slaughter. More staged events, orchestrated and maneuvered conflicts, and the use of bioengineered diseases. Vaccines. They could come in vaccines.
Oh, that's brought us right back up to date, hasn't it? That's like 20 years that we've just experienced in like 20 seconds there.
Women are being encouraged to get sterilised. What if they're using cervical cancer jabs? Not this generation, but the next. Prevention and cure for cancer. Or having babies.
That's madness.
You're right. They'd never wait 2 generations.
In the event that I am reincarnated, I'd like to come back as a deadly virus. So as to contribute to solving overpopulation. Prince Philip said that.
Prince Philip did say that. And this attitude that, you know, we're all kind of heathenistic, just using all the resources, we're nothing more than animals. These elites that have this ultimate eugenical attitude against the population, ironically, these are the ones that use the most resources. They're the ones living in grandeur. They're the ones that need vehicle upon vehicle, upon plane, and, you know, houses that could house a whole freaking village. When you look at the land that these people own, but yet they'll turn round and make you out to be the scourge of society, when they're the ones really reaping the rewards of society, but guilting you into the change. Isn't that funny?
Bioengineered pathogens are being created to eliminate ethnic groups, such as blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, homosexuals.
Homosexuals? Surely that would keep the population down.
Yes, but it's not nature's way. Love is not a factor when you're dealing with how the few procreate.
Natural selection, where the only natural element is the powers that be.
Population control already happens in China. You have to have a license. before you can have a second child.
Come on, Dion. How many times have you thought about how unfair it is that you have to work to have a good life, whereas others breed and get given benefits and homes? How often have you wondered, like many others, what real value they bring to the world?
Population reduction programs eliminate a mind-blowing 95% of the population.
Eugenics is the pseudoscience of culling the excess population.
Fake science.
Got that.
Who was your clever girl?
It'll be done in a barbaric fashion using draconian methods, and this global holocaust will probably come out from under the flag of the UN.
I can almost imagine us being frog marched away from our homes in a martial law kind of way, and no one bats an eyelid.
Almost 95% of the population.
13 out of every 14 people killed, destroyed, and murdered.
Whether people want to believe this or not, there are estimates, forecasts of such dramatic fall in global populations. And these numbers and statistics have been developed by alphabet organizations, UN, NATO, FBI, CIA, and other organizations. There's websites that clearly tell you of a forecast of a dramatical reduction in the population of most countries of the globe by 2025. Whether that actually comes to fruition, who knows? What we can say is the lifestyle that we've got now, you can understand now why you have the killing and the self-culling, you could say, in order to keep the numbers in check. That is the sad thing. Reality is we didn't realize that. We actually thought we lived in a system that was governing us and doing the right thing by society.
In order to stabilize world population, they need or want to dispose of 6.5 billion people. It's a horrible thing to say, but isn't it just as bad not to say it?
How can they, John? How can they?
Come here. Questions?
What?
You've got questions?
Oh shit, Sherlock. Well, it's just... Oh, for fuck's sake, Dion, structure a sentence. It's bullshit. It's got to be.
Why?
Because that would make my whole life a lie.
The Matrix. This is the hardest part. This is probably mentally when you hit rock bottom, when you have to literally build them building blocks back up again. If you're prepared to accept this information, it means that building's just been totally obliterated. You got to build it back up with what you see as the positive in the negative, as well as the truth. So it's like a two-tier thing. It's probably going to take more from your soul, but ultimately, are you better knowing or not knowing?
And what if it is?
What if it is? John, really? If my whole life is a lie, what do I do now?
You must be the change you wish to see in the world, Dion. What this means...
Ernest. Got it. Literally, I've got it.
Oh, it's a lot to think about, Dion. But that's what you've got to do. Just take the time to think about it.
Sharon.
Joey.
How? Hey, Dee. Come in.
I'm going to deal you in, Dion.
No, thanks.
Come on, I'll be gentle with you.
How can you believe all that stuff?
Oh. So we're going to talk about it, are we, Princess?
Yeah. Just don't get it. How can you both believe that crap? Ernest, you're like ridiculously intelligent. Why? Well, how can you believe it? Well, surely it's up there with JFK and Princess Diana. It's all conspiracy stuff.
And if you get me
That's
started...
what I mean. You sound like crazies, you really do.
Fighting with our own cognitive dissonance. All part of the journey, innit?
And not questioning everything like you told me. I'm questioning everything I know about you. And how much I like you. And that's really...
Shit.
Just a bit. You're telling me that left is right and up is down, and I can't buy it.
Why?
Seriously?
Play building blocks with me.
What?
Ernest?
Please, Dion. Just one game.
One game.
How did it fall?
How did it fall? Forwards.
Why?
Well, it's about balance. You take it out one side, the balance is off, it topples over, and gravity pulls it down.
Every time?
Yeah.
Are you certain?
Yeah.
Now, when we play this, we pull out blocks from all over the structure because we don't want to be responsible for it falling over. Am I correct?
Yeah.
What happens if we only pull out blocks from one side?
Same thing.
Please demonstrate. So, they fall over,
Yeah.
not down.
No. Ernest, what's your point?
With any kind of building blocks, when you pull out the blocks from the side, it falls over at that point. Well, then explain to me how, when an aeroplane was flown into one of the Twin Towers on September the 11th, that building collapsed in on itself. What about the other tower? Scientifically, mathematically, or blockily, those buildings should have fallen over.
Let's go even further. What about Building 7 that wasn't even hit by anything, but yet fell faster than a bowling ball?
Not inwards. I mean, I'll concede to the idea that by some sort of miracle, one of those towers could have collapsed in on itself. But both of them?
All three of them?
I'm afraid I doubted that the moment I watched it happen live. It is inconceivable that those planes brought those buildings down.
But watch a controlled demolition, it looks the same.
If a picture says 1,000 words, then our eyes can see 1,000 lives.
And how many architects at the time come out speaking of this? They're in the profession, they were disbelieved, they were ridiculed, and had to wear the tinfoil hat with everyone else that felt this narrative was a load of bullshit.
See it to believe it.
Who would... How... Who'd do that?
Now it's cogging. Now the democide might become an idea. Now the depopulation. Now the racism. Now the terrorism. Now the fear. Now the control. Can you see it now, guys?
Why would they?
Fear.
9/11, like 7/7, was pure theatre. Nothing more.
September the 11th, 2001 was a ruse, a show, a charade that even a child could identify.
Bullshit. No fucking way. No way.
Dion, you need to understand.
Not from us, she doesn't. She's got to do it herself.
Pardon?
She's got to do it herself. She's got to look, research, make an educated judgment. We can't do that for her. Right?
Right.
Here's a laptop. On this bookcase, there are hundreds of books you can read. Here, and this is the address for the British Library, home of every book in the country, and the address of a smaller bookshop. They can tell you about workshops and seminars you can go to. We've shown you the door. It's up to you to open it. I'd say slowly catch a monkey, but they want to reduce the population by about 95%. Not sure you can afford to be slowly. Do you?
You don't know all the troubles I've seen, twisted faces, the places I've been, not just in my land but far away. It's been carried whole in my head's here to stay.
This is all like a process of opening the mind. You look at this, the image of this lady now opening her mind and looking at all possibilities. Look at the image of the average housewife that will sit just watching Coronation Street. Not to say you shouldn't do, but look at the effect on the brainwaves sitting watching a program like that has on anybody. Let's look at that. Let's look at how it can almost hypnotize you, almost slow your brainwaves down, stops you opening your mind, stops you really thinking, because it's giving you an element of kind of nulled out information that doesn't really give you any nutrition whatsoever. This is an avenue to make yourself a more stronger, robust individual with information, which is far more exciting and far more conducive to the human brain than sitting watching a soap opera.
You said it wouldn't ever happen. You said it wouldn't happen again. You don't know all the troubles I've seen, twisted faces, the places I've been. Not just in my land, but far away. It's been carried all in our heads, here to stay.
It may be worth considering other books such as 1984, Brave New World, Fahrenheit 451, and even more recently, The Celestine Prophecy. Yes, all works of fiction, yet all these books throw up some very interesting ideas about dystopian society, lots of which have in fact come true. Big Brother is watching. Big Brother. This is quite literally true, with a huge amount of CCTV, chips in passports, and the want of ID
Are you
cards.
suggesting that novelists are predicting the future?
No,
With that in mind, I suppose book burning will become popular.
it already has. Books being burnt in playgrounds because of their content. Satanic verses.
That's ridiculous.
Hi.
We were worried.
Oh, the street drug problem is...
I just needed a few days. I needed to let it settle in. I wanted to see a seminar or two.
How did you find them?
Good.
Liar. They totally messed with your head, didn't they?
Just a bit.
You got any questions?
A billion.
Sweet tea and chocolate, Caitlin.
Not right now, Proof, if that's okay. I just want a hot shower and some sleep.
Dion, this is your home. You can do what you want to do.
Yeah, go get a shower. You stink. You look like shit.
And see, no longer blinded by our eyes.
Do you think she's going to be okay?
Are any of us?
Getting your head around the fact that we live in what is a matrix, it's not easy, is it? A highly complex lifestyle that should be very, very simple and harmonious with you, individuals around you, and the community you live in. Not forgetting the planet as well.
Dion? D, let me in. I know you're not in the shower. Open the door, babe. I've got a nice cold beer with your name on it.
At this point, when you realise that your life is not being governed by you, but you could say that you've been reacting to a form of mind control all these years. That's a biggie, innit, for anyone to get their head round. And then how do you rebuild them blocks once you've got to that point?
How did you know I wasn't in the shower?
The way the water runs sounds different when there's a body underneath it.
Spend a lot of time listening at bathroom doors.
Only when you're behind them.
What did you want, John?
Well, I thought after a beer you might be up for an action replay. I wanted to know what that question was.
What question?
The one that's tearing you apart inside. What is it? What do you want to ask?
Do you really think they'll reduce the population?
There it is. You want the answer that'll bring you some peace or the truth? Okay. The truth, as Jonathan Wills sees it. I hope the population won't be reduced. But that kind of hope seems pointless when everything I read leads me to believe it will happen. Question is how they're going to do it.
It's understanding whether someone has got that much of a eugenical mind that they ultimately can do this to the world. That's probably the biggest question I ask myself at this point. I could not get why anyone would want to do this to people.
For the population to be reduced by 92.85%, for it to be under 500 million, 13 in every 14 people must die. Pretty sure that's everyone we know. You already got Lily.
What are you on about? That boy got Lily.
But what motivated the boy? I'm pretty sure if he was honest about what caused the fight, it would be about girls or money or worse, respect. Only a system as fucked as ours would allow us to kill each other over nothing. The system is set to fail because it's based on greed. Maybe they won't commit mass genocide or exterminate us. Maybe they'll just create an environment where we turn on each other.
Does that sound like where we're at now? Or where we've been for the past so many years? Feels like it's coming to a head, doesn't it?
Are the riots? We'll do the job for them.
Dion.
Can I come in?
Yeah. You okay?
Yeah. Just wanted to see a familiar face. Get a sense of normality.
You've been through a crazy couple of months. Losing Lily's going to be hard on you for a while.
It's not just losing Lily. It's why we did. And all of the other things I wasn't awake to.
What do you mean?
You wouldn't believe me if I told you.
Sure I would.
Population reduction. The government, or at least the powers that be, that want to reduce the world's population to 500 million. That's 1 in 14 to live, Jeff. And they've built these concentration camps everywhere. They're all over America. 9/11, 7/7.
This is the trap that most people get themselves into. When you're doing your research, you can't help but present it like a Tommy gun. And you're waking up, so it's outraging you, it's shocking you. You have that sense that you've got to tell people, and you've got to tell them quick, and they've got to understand it very quick. So the way you deliver it in what is regarded from their position as someone who's talking a little bit irrationally at this point, because you're not building any context to anything, you're just shooting out the bullet points. So it does sound like you're off your head. And you can understand when people come across like this, why some people are getting called tinfoil hat wearers, because there's an element of ridiculousness about it from the way it sounds. The information's there to back up a lot of this, but from the layman who's used to sitting watching Coronation Street and watching Ant and Dec, sounds like you're gone.
Other terrorist attacks that have been staged so that we live in fear, and we're told to buy things that we don't need with money that we don't have, and we believe in this bullshit system that's supposed to set us free, but really and truly it just enslaves us. There's biological attacks in food, in medicines, but they want to kill us. They want us to kill each other for this system. And there's greed. We want things that we don't need, and we're killing each other to get them. Killing Lily.
Stop, Dion. Slow down. I don't even know half of what you just said. You sound like a crazy person.
I know. I can't even tell you the things that I've seen and read in the last 3 weeks. I'll just be talking at you. I want you to see them for yourself. Sorry, I'm just really missing Lily today. More than normal.
It's okay. What can I do? I hate it when you do that.
I know. Read it when I've gone. You're a good man, Jeff.
I try.
The things I've written down. You look at them. Do that for me.
I promise.
You always did keep your promises. It's one of the things I love about you. Thank you for everything.
We're enjoying them up.
Jeff, what's happened? You look like you've seen a ghost. What's the matter?
Go and get your stuff. You're leaving.
What are you on about?
I looked, Dion. I researched. I looked at the stuff you asked me to. Keep my promise and all.
You did? And?
Is that what they've been showing you? They're no better than the terrorists I hunt.
Jeff?
Don't you move, you twisted fuck.
Hey, okay.
Take an innocent girl and turn the world upside down.
Jeff, what the fuck are you doing?
I said, we're going. Get your fucking hands off my girlfriend.
Your girlfriend. She wasn't your girlfriend when she was in the shower with me.
Measures have been taken to secure the safety of American citizens.
You've been fucking him. No wonder your mind's been polluted by his bullshit. You always were easily led. Especially once a boy's been inside you.
Easy, mate.
Stop it, Jeff, please. Please stop.
Disturbing reports are coming in from across the United States of America.
Riv.
Please. Please, don't please me. That's what this has been all about. Fucking him.
emergency evacuation.
That really? It's like just bullshit emotions from you to get what you want. It's really off.
Really?
Buying into his bullshit.
Proof, damn it. Try your phone.
I don't know what you're talking about.
James, what are you doing with that phone?
John, check the CB radio.
Oi, does anybody want to pay attention to the guy with the fucking gun?
No.
What the fuck?
Just think about what you're doing for a moment. You're holding 4 people at gunpoint. Think about your job.
Joe.
You're holding us hostage.
Hostage? Yeah, he looks like being held hostage to me. What the fuck are you doing?
Jeff, no!
Listen.
Only guessing, mind, that most towns are going to feel a military presence pretty soon. I hate to say it, people, but I think it's begun. I hope you're prepared, although I'm not sure what they're going to do from here. But I think it's survival of the fittest time. Darwinism is in full swing. My suggestion is, if there's no military with you now, get out. Get into the hills or the woods, somewhere with all your supplies, or haul up where you are. Stay quiet, ration food, and last as long as you can. Good luck all. I'm out.
For most, this is nothing more than a story, a diversion from the outside world. But within some of you, a feeling is starting to stir. It doesn't matter where you're from, what culture you're from, what colour your skin is, what God you believe in, or if you believe in a God at all. You will be affected. The cracks are beginning to show. Maybe you choose to ignore it. Maybe you don't know how to face it, or maybe you think you're alone in this. For most, this is nothing more than a story, a diversion from the outside world. But within some of you, a feeling is starting to stir. It's time to stand up, with eyes open, ears down to the ground. A change is long overdue. So wake up. Question everything. Are you awake? Wake up. Now.
Excellent. The end was, for me, the stark reminder of where we're going. Big government, the moment the boot is put on your head. That is how I interpret this, the ending. It's a stark warning that if people don't wake up, ultimately, there's going to come a time when that is a reality. Like the lady said, if anyone has got an open mind and semi-conscious at this point, they can see a trajectory towards this point. Fortunately, this movie took it right to that point. So it's whether people want to take that as a story or take that as a stark warning. The positive you can get from it is internally as an individual, knowing this knowledge and knowing how you can navigate through your life with this knowledge. Waking up as many people as you can on a positive level in order to raise the consciousness, to stop the growth of what we regard as a big dystopian government that is encroaching the lives of many millions globally. Just like at the end of the tunnel, I'll say it even more starkly, there is light. So whilst we've got light, while we've got a brain that can possess a higher level of consciousness, now is the time. So that's my little analysis, interpretation of this. I hope you've enjoyed it. Brilliant film with a very true tale. So this is Red Pill Phil. I love you all.
I love you. 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 I love you.
Even the pissing haters.
I love you. 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 I love you.